Now I have to be honest, in the history of this channel, I haven't done that many videos focusing on plants. So I thought it was time to make a change. The bluebell, a beautiful plant which at this time of year really is spectacular across deciduous woodlands in the UK. And this really is a truly British spectacle as well. 50% of the entire world population of bluebells is found right here in the UK. And not just in woodland either. We get a lot of these bluebell spectacles in some of our coastal areas as well. But they are fussy to an extent. They have to grow in deciduous woodland because anything like conifers makes the soil way too acidic for them to grow. They're also a plant which can't tolerate deep shade, which kind of explains the spectacle really, because at this time of year there's still enough light coming down from the canopy and reaching the forest floor, which is where the bluebells are, which means they can photosynthesize and grow. But there's also a lot of interesting things going on down in the ground as well. Bluebells like to grow in relatively nutrient-poor soils. But they get their nutrients by making friends with other organisms down in the soil. They form what we call mycorrhizal associations. That's associations with fungi. And those fungi help the bluebells out because they exchange nutrients, meaning the bluebells can get nutrients such as phosphorus, which they wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. But of course the main reason behind the flower is pollination. And the main pollinators of a bluebell are things like bumblebees, hoverflies, and even some rare butterflies as well. So they are really, really important. And their flowers, this beautiful cobalt blue, is basically acting as a sensory billboard. It's saying, look, I'm a flower, come and pollinate me. And it's probably doing a really, really good job of it as well, if we think of what colours bees and hoverflies and other pollinators can see. They're mostly trichromats. That means they have 3 colour photoreceptors, which is the same as us, but we have red, green and blue photoreceptors. Bumblebees have green, blue and UV photoreceptors, so it's shifted a little bit. And when you think about it, this cobalt blue colour is jam in the middle of that spectrum, meaning these bluebells have an increased chance of being pollinated. Now I should point out, of course, that bluebells are protected. It's actually illegal to pick wild bluebells, and the same for a lot of wildflowers as well actually, so be careful what you're doing. But there are other threats that our bluebells face as well, and one of the main ones is an invader. There's a Spanish invader. A Spanish bluebell has been introduced into the UK. It was first introduced to be grown in gardens, so horticulture, but has now spread into the wild and it's hybridizing with our native bluebells. So, how do you tell the difference between a native bluebell and a Spanish bluebell? Well, it's actually quite easy, especially when you've got them side by side. So if we look at this one here, so this is a native bluebell obviously. It's got a nice long stem, but it droops, it curves at the end, meaning these flowers droop, well, like bells, I guess. Now, the Spanish bluebell has a much more upright stem. There's very little curvature at the end here. Another main feature is the colour. So we've got this beautiful cobalt blue in the native version. The colour's a lot more variable in the Spanish bluebell. But for me, the most easy giveaway are the leaves. So in the native bluebell, the leaves are long and thin. In the Spanish bluebell, they're a lot broader. So that's a dead giveaway, in my opinion. But why is this a threat then? Well, the thing is, if these bluebells are hybridizing with our native bluebells, that means those genes are getting mixed up. And those hybrids, which are proving to be fertile, are quite difficult to tell apart. So we're sort of losing the essence, if you like, on what is a true native bluebell. And if you bring genes from elsewhere, that may make these bluebells less well adapted to growing in environments like this. So it is a big problem, and it's something we need to think about. There are also various climate change effects as well. So if you think about it, our springs are starting at different times, which means plants are responding in different ways and animals are responding in different ways. So for example, if the pollinators didn't emerge at the same time as the bluebells did, then we'd have a problem. But looking at this bluebell here, this flower's pretty much gone, and I'm seeing right at the bottom of the stem we have the first seeds developing. So hopefully that gives some hope that these spectacles will be still wowing us in our deciduous woodlands for a good few years yet. Hopefully forever. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like and more importantly, subscribe. The button's just down there or just beside me there. I've also recently got a brand new Facebook page, so make sure you give that a like. The link is just below me right now to receive all the latest updates on my wildlife adventures. So for the meantime, I'll see you next time.